the princess who refused all, until destiny brought her king. ###I. The refusal of 1,000. On the edge of the Orion cluster, where blue suns bled their light into eternal nebulae, there existed the kingdom of Lurea, an empire of starships, floating palaces, and a people who called themselves Eternals. They were not immortal, though they lived longer than most species. They simply believed their decisions echoed through eternity. Princess Arivelle, daughter of Queen Seraphine and heir to the celestial crown, was known across 100 systems as the most sought-after princess in the galaxy. Her beauty was not only in her face, though her silver hair shimmered like strands of comet light, but in her presence. Wherever she walked, voices softened, and even the proudest warriors bent their knees. But Arivelle was not a woman easily swayed. In her 21st cycle, her mother summoned the Suitors' convergence. 1,000 candidates from the strongest races, from armored warlords to merchants richer than moons, gathered in the Palace of Glass, its towers cutting into the starry veil above the capital world. Each suitor bowed, offered treasures, world shards, star maps, armies, and ships that could cleave through armadas. Each swore fealty, love, or ambition. Arivelle's response was always the same. No. Not with cruelty, but with finality. Some stormed away in outrage, others left in sorrow, and a few remained, hoping time would wear down her resolve. Yet the princess never wavered. Queen Seraphine, though patient, grew concerned. Daughter, the throne demands stability. Refuse too long, and the alliances will crumble. The galaxy watches. Arivelle answered softly, but with steel in her voice. Mother, I will not bind my life to ambition disguised as love. If destiny wishes me to rule beside another, it will be one chosen by fate, not by counsel or crown. Her words spread like wildfire. To some she was arrogant, to others pure, but all agreed she was untouchable. ###2. The shadow over Lurea. Peace did not last. From beyond the rift line came the Drov'kin, a race of conquerors whose ships resembled obsidian beasts with jagged wings. They swept through border colonies, leaving nothing but silence in their wake. Rumors spread that they sought not riches, but something deeper, a weapon of ancient power said to be hidden within Lurea's royal archives. Queen Seraphine convened the High Council. War preparations began, but the Drov'kin fleet dwarfed anything Lurea could raise. Allies faltered. The same suitors who once begged for Arivelle's hand now weighed loyalty against survival. In the shadow of this coming storm, Arivelle stood on her balcony one night, watching the stars shift. The galaxy, once full of suitors and songs, now trembled under the drums of war. She whispered into the silence, "If fate has someone meant for me, let him come, not as a suitor, but as a savior." ###3. The arrival of the stranger. Weeks later, when the palace hung heavy with tension, a single starship broke through the blockade. Unlike the grand vessels of suitors past, this was no jewel of craftsmanship. It was battered, scarred from battle, and limped through orbit as though sheer will carried it forward. From its ramp descended a man in simple armor, patched and scorched. His name, given at the gates, was Kaelen. No title, no fleet, no riches. Only a single sword strapped to his back, a blade of strange make, humming faintly as though alive. The guards laughed. Another desperate wanderer come to win a crown. But Arivelle, hearing of his arrival, requested to see him. When Kaelen entered the throne chamber, he did not kneel, did not shower her with praise. He merely looked into her eyes with quiet resolve and said, "I have not come for your hand, princess. I've come because the Drov'kin hunt you and the weapon they seek." I swore an oath long ago to guard its heir. That heir is you. Gasps filled the court. Arivelle tilted her head, studying him. 1,000 have promised me safety. Why should I believe a lone wanderer with no banners? Kaelen unsheathed his blade. Its edge shimmered, splitting into threads of starlight. The oldest counselors recoiled, for they recognized it. The blade of Vera, forged in the First Wars, passed down only to guardians sworn to protect the royal line. The queen herself rose, trembling. That blade was lost generations ago. How do you carry it? Kaelen's voice carried sorrow. Because my ancestors died carrying it. I am the last of them. My oath is not to rule beside you, princess. My oath is to keep you alive, even if it costs my life. For the first time in years, Arivelle felt her heart stir. #4. The Trials of Trust. Despite his oath, Kaelen was not welcomed. The court distrusted him. Suitors called him a fraud. Spies whispered he might be a Drov'kin agent. But Arivelle trusted her instincts. Against her mother's caution, she allowed Kaelen to remain. He became her shadow, walking beside her in war councils, sparring with her knights, guarding her chamber doors. At first, their conversations were formal. She asked about his travels. He answered with tales of battles and forgotten systems, of scars etched into his body and soul. But slowly the walls fell. One night, when the palace slept, she found him on the training grounds, practicing with his blade beneath the moonlight. You train as though chased by ghosts, she said. Kaelen paused. I am. The ghosts of those I failed to protect. You speak of failure, yet you stand still. Because standing is all I know, he replied. Then after a pause. But with you, princess, I feel as though I fight for something beyond survival. For the first time I fight for hope. Her chest tightened. No suitor had ever spoken to her so. Not of crowns or conquest, but of hope. #V. The Siege of Stars. The Drov'kin came at last. Their fleet poured from the rift line, blotting out constellations. The skies over Lurea burned as their ships unleashed fire. Within the palace of glass, chaos erupted. Some counselors fled, others turned traitor. A few loyal knights remained, but they were too few. Queen Seraphine prepared to activate the last defense, a planetary shield fueled by the royal archives themselves. But the archives could not be opened without both queen and heir. As the Drov'kin breached orbit, Arivelle and Kaelen fought through the palace corridors, defending the path to the archive chamber. Knights fell around them. The sound of steel and plasma filled the air. At the chamber doors, the Drov'kin warlord awaited. Twice the height of a man, armored in black stone, its voice rumbled like thunder. Princess of Lurea, yield the archive. Your crown is meaningless, your life fleeting. Give us the key, and we will spare your world. Arivelle stood tall, her voice unwavering. I would sooner burn with my people than kneel to you. The warlord lunged. Kaelen met him with the blade of Vera. Steel clashed against dark alloy, sparks scattering like stars. Their duel shook the chamber. But Kaelen faltered. The warlord was too strong. His armor near unbreakable. The blade shivered under the weight of each strike. Then Arivelle, unarmed but resolute, stepped forward. She touched the blade with her hand, whispering words taught in her lineage. The vow of the eternal bond. The blade blazed brighter, merging with Kaelen's strength. Together they struck as one. The warlord fell, cleaved in two. #6. The True King. The archives unlocked. Queen Seraphine and Arivelle poured their energy into the shield, casting a dome of radiant light over the planet. The Drov'kin fleet, unable to penetrate it, withdrew into the void. Victory came but at a cost. Kaelen lay wounded, his body broken from the battle. Arivelle knelt beside him, silver tears streaking her face. "You gave your life for mine," she whispered. "Why?" Kaelen, his breath shallow, smiled faintly. "Because destiny bound me to you. Not as a king, but as your guardian." But Arivelle shook her head. "You fool. You think I sought a king for power. I sought the one who would fight not for a crown, but for me. And destiny has brought him. Not a suitor, not a stranger, but you." The queen, watching, saw the truth in her daughter's eyes. "Then let it be known, Lurea shall have its king. Not by conquest, but by fate." Kaelen's eyes closed, but not in death, in surrender to a destiny fulfilled. He survived, healed by the finest medics. And when he rose again, it was not as a wanderer, nor as a knight. It was as Arivelle's chosen. ###7. The Eternal Bond. Years later, songs were sung of the princess who refused 1,000 suitors. Not for pride but for destiny. Arivelle and Kaelen ruled together, not as queen and consort, but as equals bound by war, hope, and love forged in the fire of the stars. And in the quiet nights, when the galaxy was calm, Arivelle would whisper the words she spoke on that balcony long ago. "If fate has someone meant for me, let him come." And Kaelen, smiling beside her, would answer, "And fate delivered." For sometimes, in a galaxy of endless suitors and endless wars, the truest king is not the one who seeks the throne, but the one who stands when all others fall.